Do you ever feel like your work is never done? Like there's always more emails to write, more meetings to prepare for, more people to contact, to call, to talk to. Just so much stuff on your plate that you can just never get it all done. If so, you're normal. But today I want to give you a few productivity tips for pastors that will help you accomplish more in less time and focus more on the things that matter most. Let's get into it. The first productivity tip that you may not necessarily think of as a productivity tip is don't neglect spiritual disciplines. Now you might say, how is that a productivity tip? Well, spending time in prayer and spending time in the Word of God is productive. Now, a lot of times we're tending to get so busy that we neglect praying. We neglect time reading our Bible. We neglect spending time with God because we think, I don't have time for that. I've got so much else on my plate. But I'm telling you, you will get far more done with God on your side than you will without Him. You'll get far more done when you are praying than you will if you aren't. God will help you supernaturally to get the work done that He wants you to get done, but you need to spend some time with Him. Don't neglect time in the Word. Don't neglect time in prayer. Don't neglect time with God. Spiritual discipline is productivity. Disciples are disciplined, and you need that in your life too. And look, let's be honest. If you're running on spiritually empty, you're going to be far less effective. But when you are spending time with God in prayer and in His Word, God is pouring into you. And as God pours into you, then you can then take that and flow that out and pour it into other people in your ministry. You'll be far less effective when you're running on empty. If you're going to be a spiritual leader, you need to step up and lead first in your spiritual life, and then all the rest of your ministry will flow out of that. Next, you need to exercise regularly. Now, you might be one of those guys who says, look, I'm not into exercise. That's not really my thing. But let me tell you this, okay? Exercise is proven scientifically to increase your productivity. You're gonna feel better, you're going to have more energy, you're going to be more confident. It's proven to lift your mood, make you happier, and it's also proven to help clear up your mind and think better. There's a reason you get your best ideas when you're walking around or when you're out doing different things other than just sitting at your desk. Exercise is going to increase the blood flow to your brain, and it's going to help you in a variety of ways to make you more productive. So you need to get up and exercise at least 3-4 times a week, if not more. Make it a part of your regular routine, and it's gonna help you get more done because you're gonna feel better, you're gonna have more energy, and when you're working, you're gonna be more on your A game and feeling less sluggish and less tired. All right, my third tip is delegate, automate, or eliminate. What I mean by that is you need to look at every single thing on your list of things to do and look at that through the lens of, do I need to delegate this? Do I need to automate this? Or is that something I should eliminate? Because let's be honest, a lot of us, we have so much to do and not enough time to do it all. So we got to be selective to make sure we're only doing the things that only we can do. So when you look at an item, you say, okay, is this something I can delegate? Is this something that I can give to somebody else? Is something that I don't have to be the one who does this every single time? Maybe there's a high capacity volunteer. Maybe there's another staff member. Maybe there's someone else who would love to do that thing that you're not very good at in the first place, and you can give it over to them and let them use the gifts that God's given them. And the next thing you got to look at is this something you can automate. There's a lot of things today that technology allows you to automate. If it's something that just recurs over and over and over again, maybe there's a program that you can set it up where it's going to automatically do that for you, and you don't have to always do it yourself. We could do a whole nother video on that one. And then last, you need to look, is this something I should eliminate? Is it something that has to be done? It might be a good thing, but is it the best thing? And in ministry, we have so much on our plates that a lot of the times we get wrapped up in doing things that are good, but good can be the enemy of great. The things that are good in our lives can be the enemy of doing the things that are best in our lives. And so we got to make sure that we're doing only the top, most important things and letting those other things that maybe are good, but not quite as important. Sometimes we need to look at that and say, look, That might be a good thing, but that's not the priority right now. That's not the most important thing right now. And I don't need to be spending my time or my people's time or our resources working on this. And that's something we just need to say, hey, that was a good thing for a season, or maybe it's lost its effectiveness, but it's not as good now. And that's something that we need to set aside and move forward without. Fourth, you need to delegate responsibility, not tasks. I think I heard Craig Groeschel talk about this the first time, and it really opened my eyes to what delegation is supposed to be. A lot of the time, when we want to delegate something, we look at our task lists and we say, okay, here's all the things that I have to do. And so we say, hey, I want to delegate that. So we just take that task list and say, hey, you over here, can you please do this task for me? And then we give them the next task or the next task, and we're delegating tasks. But what that does is it doesn't free up your time as much, because you still are the one who has to give the tasks to the other people. You're not allowing them to lead in anything. They're just your gopher. Go for this, go for that, go for that. And so they have to keep reporting back to you for the next task, and that takes up a lot more of your time. So give other people leadership over an area where you're not micromanaging them. Now, maybe at first you set them up a little bit and you help give them a vision of what that's supposed to look like, but let them take care of the details. And then you can meet with them or correct them if there's some things that are a little off that maybe should be different, but then you can work with them as they grow in their leadership in that area. And sooner or later, if you've delegated to the right person, they're going to just run with that area of ministry, and then you no longer have to worry about it. You no longer have to think about it, because you have handed over leadership to the right leader, and then you're just investing in leaders and you're getting more done. Your ministry is accomplishing more than if you were constantly having to oversee that thing and micromanage that task and make sure they were doing it right every single time. Delegate responsibility, not tasks. And the fifth tip is to automate your schedule. A lot of times in ministry, we want to meet with different people. Maybe it's for a counseling appointment, or maybe it's for the certain leader that we're trying to connect with. And we can spend a lot of time where we are just sending emails back and forth, trying to work with our calendars to find a time that we can both meet. You send out the email, hey, love to meet up with you. How does coffee on Monday morning sound? And then they send back the email, oh, Monday doesn't work good for me. How about Wednesday? And you're like, look at your calendar. Oh no, Wednesday, I got this appointment. How about Wednesday afternoon? And you go back and forth until you find the right time to meet. There's awesome tools out there that will help you with this. One that I love is called Calendly. And you can use Calendly to set up blocks in your schedule where you're just reserving time where that is going to be set up for meetings every single week. And then when people want to meet with you, when people say, hey, I'd love to ask you about this, or I could use some counseling, you say, great, here's the link to my calendar. You find a time in there that works for you, and then they can just click a button on there and schedule themselves in your blocked out time that you have already created for them. And this will save you tons of time. You can give this link to your admin or church secretary or whatever, and they can then just send that to people who want to meet with you, and they can schedule themselves in your appointment at times you have already preset. So that way the rest of your week where you need to do other things, you can block out those times for the things that you need to accomplish there. All right, the sixth tip is to schedule time with yourself. Now, this kind of goes to what I was just saying. When you are looking at your calendar, you need to block out time for you, things that you need to get done, whether that's working on your sermon. You need to block that time out every single Monday morning from 9 a.m. to noon or whatever it is. That's your sermon prep time, or maybe it's a different time of day. Blocking out those time for the important things that you need to do every single week, the things that are your primary tasks, like preaching or like certain meetings or time that you need to get certain things done, working on certain projects. Block those out in your calendar, times where you're going to work on that yourself. And that way, when people want to meet with you, when people say, hey, can I have you for just a second here? Or can I meet with you on this time? You can look at your calendar and honestly say, sorry, I can't do that time. I have an appointment. And you're not lying, because the appointment is with yourself. It's with God. It's something that you need to work on. They don't need to know all the details about what it is. You don't need to say, sorry, I can't do that. I'm working on my sermon then. You just say, hey, I'm busy at that time. Can we do this time? Or you point them to your Calendly link, right? And that will give you more time to focus on your priorities and remind you every single week of the rhythms and things that you need to be working on to do your job best and to focus on the most important tasks and responsibilities that you have. 7, you need to make a daily to-do list. A daily to-do list. Now, you're going to have a lot of things that come in. You need a place to track all the things that you need to do. And you can keep a to-do list app or something like that for everything you have to do somewhere. I think it's good to capture all that stuff down. But when you open up a to-do list and you've just got dozens and dozens or hundreds of different things that you need to do, it can be incredibly overwhelming. You can waste time just scrolling through all of it all the time, trying to figure out what's the next thing I should do right now. And it's not as effective. You need to take Jesus' advice when he said, do not worry about tomorrow because today's got enough trouble of its own. So focus just on what do I need to get done today. So I suggest you do maybe a list of just 3 things. If I can get these 3 things done today, then it was a productive, good day. I do this every single day, and it's actually, I put together a little journal about it because it's something I've created just for me. It's called the Productive Christian Journal. And every single day, it's going to walk you through your top tasks. And then if you have time, you can write down some of the other things you need to get done. And what this does is it helps me focus on only the things I need to get done for each day. And then I can keep all the other things I need to get done in a to-do list or a list somewhere else. So when I'm looking at what needs to get done, I can pull that up for ideas if I need them. But it helps you focus on just the important things first. Get those big rocks, get those big things out of the way first, and then you can work on all the other small things. Now, this is a tool I created for myself. If you want to pick that up, you can see it on Amazon.com. It's called Productive Christian Journal. But if you don't use that, you can write it on a sticky note or somewhere else. But that's just one of the things that is in my book that really has helped me. And I use it every single day. And it helps me get stuff done by focusing on just the top 3 things that'll make my day more productive if I get those done first. So those are a few tips that I've learned in my years of ministry. They've been extremely helpful to me, and I hope it's helpful to you. But hey, what do you think? Do you have some productivity tips that I didn't list? That's just a few of them. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Have you tried any of these out? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But as always, thanks for watching and keep on preaching, and I'll see you in the next one.